Welcome to Paris. This is the Paris they don't show you on TV.
No, you can't tell me this is Paris. This is Lomé or Côte d'Ivoire or some place in Africa, bro.
That's Paris? Oh, I can tell by the words. There's a lot of black people there. Yep.
Feels like I'm in Nigeria or Africa or something. What the fuck is this? You don't like Paris, bro? No, bro.
Wait a minute, so this guy went to Paris to get away? No shot. Oh no.
This is a real Paris.
No. Wow. Paris is full. I don't know. I don't know how a lot of them got there. I have no idea.
You know, Paris.
This is the Paris they don't show on TV. I guess so.
So here is the
Oh my
African
God.
town of Paris.
Wow. Well, there it is, guys. Look at the dent on the guy's forehead. And, yeah, illegally? I mean, I guess so. I mean, I have no idea if these people are here legally or not. I mean, I think probably it's a mix. But, yeah, I don't know what's going on over in Europe. It sure seems like they have a lot of migrants there. I'll tell you that.
You feel like the UK is becoming an anti-white country?
Yeah.
You're not wrong. If you're a teacher in Wales, you get paid
Welsh government offers $5,000 more to student teachers from ethnic minorities. And this is actually from the government itself? Not just from like some private organization?
£1,000 less a year if you're white. Any other ethnicity and they'll pay you more. The fourth biggest police force in the UK.
Blocks white applicants to boost diversity. Encourages black and Asian candidates to apply early to become police constables before jobs opened up to others.
Banned white people from hiring. The biggest bank in Europe funded £2 million to 30 Oxford scholarships, and guess what are the qualifications to make it in?
Let me see what they were. To be eligible for the Stormzy Scholarship, one must have one of the following categories. You basically, so you have to be black, African, or black in one way or another. Yeah, this is, I actually think this is what's going to radicalize people more than anything else. Is like this like casual normalization of advantages provided to groups of people that somebody is not a part of. I think that's what really radicalizes people faster than anything else.
The biggest
it's absurd. It is
platform in
absolutely
Europe
absurd.
Banned white people from applying for a trainee role. Not one, but two members of the Scottish government stood up in front of Parliament and complained about how there was too many white people in and about every role and job and position, even when there's 17 times the amount of people of colour in UK Parliament today than there was in 1987. The
of course.
UK police force has...
See, this is, I think, the reason why you see a lot of white identity politics that have happened now. It's because a lot of these racial groups have been playing identity politics games and racial identity games forever. And now you have people like, you know, Nick Fuentes fans, etc., that are like, okay, well, if you're going to play the game, we're also going to play the game. And now you have everybody that's playing the identity politics game. And I think this is a bad thing. Like, again, I know that identity matters and people want to have their identity reinforced and everything like that. But the moment that you start adding privileges and benefits to being of an identity, well, then you're going into very dangerous territory. And I think that's very clearly what's going on here, right? They might not like it. Yeah, people are not going to like whenever everybody has a racial identity, especially whenever it's the majority race has a racial identity. Because when they do that, they're going to get together and make decisions that are disadvantageous for racial minorities, right? That's what's going to happen. And I think that something like, the American equality, at least to the extent that we have it, can only really exist to the extent that people don't see themselves as a race first. They have to see themselves as Americans first, and then as that race second. And I think that to the extent that they make decisions based off of racial boundaries, you're going to basically have, again, an ethno-state in a long enough time frame, right? That's what's going to happen.
Spent 15 million trying to lower the number of white people they employ.
It's gonna happen,
the Royal
yeah.
Air Force got their emails leaked in which applicants were described as useless white males. God forbid they would have replaced the word white with anything else. Non-white people who apply for NHS jobs have their CVs shortlisted, so being white means it's slower and less likely you get the job. White people have become a minority in at least 8 out of 51 English cities, and this number's kept increasing since 2001. White British children are now a minority in 1 in 4 schools. So now they're disappearing from our education system. 50% of all victims in racial attacks since 2006 has been white. Former member of the Labour government, Naz Shah, liked and retweeted a post on Twitter that said white girls who have been abused and exploited by Pakistani men should shut their mouths for the sake of diversity.
This is why I kept saying that I think the EU is going to elect somebody that's really bad pretty soon. I think this is radicalizing so many people. It's radicalizing a lot of people, and I think that by the time everybody realizes it and they cut out doing this stuff, I think it's going to be too late. I do, and I think you can see the reaction, just very, very recently, the reaction to, like, for example, like Ben Shapiro's video that he did yesterday talking about how bad Nick Fuentes was, and it's like Nick Fuentes talking about, like, all the racist stuff and sexist stuff, and then all the comments are just agreeing with him. They're just agreeing. They're like, yeah, we actually do feel this way about, like, black people or about, like, Muslims or something like that. And I think that whenever you're in that situation, and they've put themselves in that situation, they've put themselves there. That's it. By playing these games, by doing this stuff, it is totally radicalized people. Absolutely. It's not radicalism. It's dishonest to say it. It's a response and defense to imposition. You're saying that, like, it's not radical because it's just people responding to what other people are doing to them. This is my outlook on it. I think this is radical, and I think they're radical. I think all of this is radical. So, but you're right, is that it is a radical response to a radical action.
Test bosses now have to explain why they hired a white person. 12-year-olds are getting singled out and expelled from school for wearing clothing that celebrates British culture on Culture Day.
Oh, school apologized too. That means they said they're wrong.
The highest paid female footballer in the UK was caught on camera calling a police officer stupid and white. The UK government have attempted to ban the British flag to stop white British people.
I've seen this a lot recently.
Being proud and celebrating their culture, but every single other ethnicity and nationality can do so. Apparently, Britain's Olympic team is too white, and our women's football team.
She was white as well.
2010 allows the practice of positive discrimination, which is their
positive discrimination. That's like dry water.
Ability to hire someone of color over a white person, even if they both have the same qualifications.
Spicy mayonnaise.
Because they are someone of color. The UK justice system was due to implement laws that would make vulnerable members of society, women,
I think this didn't go through.
People of color, be granted more lenient sentences to account for systemic violence. Islamic terrorists can complain about jails being too white, and they'll be moved to another jail. So it wouldn't happen the other way around. Save and share this video the next time you get into a conversation with someone that believes white privilege and systemic racism against people of color exists today in the UK.
And I think that the reason why, I mean, this guy's smart for saying this too, because I think that really a lot of people that are minorities in those areas realize, and they see where this is going, right? They see how this is radicalizing people. They see how everybody's getting mad about it, etc. And when it gets bad enough, then you are going to see people start popping off, people getting elected that are genuinely racist and being negatively affected. Damn straight we do. Yeah, and I respect this a lot because, again, I think that really it's not about really what identity you are. It's about you don't want to have a system and a culture that allows the denigration of one group of people exclusively, right? And if you have that, you're going to have that group of people that are just very extremely angry. Like, I'll give you a great example, right? I don't know if it's a great example, but it's an example. And it's like a lot of black people now, even here in the United States, have resentment to white people for things that had happened generations ago. Things like slavery or things like Jim Crow or segregation. And the fact is that those things did happen, and there is a generational resentment that builds up over time with groups of people. So it's not like the moment that you get rid of this, all of these problems are going to go away. No, this is something that's going to continue going on, and the people that had to experience this will carry those beliefs forward, and they will teach their children those same beliefs, right? Yeah, nobody hates this more than illegal immigrants that did the whole process to integrate with society. Well, yeah. And then because the illegal immigrants are the ones that are getting lumped in with these bad actors. I think that's the reason why illegal immigrants have such a big problem with it, right? And Tony Robinson acquitted for all of all charges under the Terrorism Act. Well, good for him. He was charged for terrorism because he refused to give his phone's PIN number.
What has been the outcome?
What has been the outcome? The outcome has been found that
this guy's been. I feel like we've been talking about this guy getting arrested for like 10 years almost.
Police discriminated against me based on my belief and my political beliefs. Now, my grievance now, well, not my grievance. First of all, thank you, Elon Musk. Thank you, Elon Musk, because if it wasn't for Elon Musk, why is it took an American businessman to fight for our justice here and our fight against terrorism charges for journalists?
Yeah, true.
Now, over there, in a minute, it's going to come the journalists, the mainstream media. Go back now. If you want to see if you can trust the media, go back now and read the media's. Read what they said about this trial. When I was on trial, read what they said. Read the headlines, read the news that they give out, and then read the judge's judgment. Right? Because all those journalists sat on that trial, they knew the police acted unlawfully, they knew they acted illegally, they admitted it in court, and none of the journalists told you that. None of them. They were hoping they had another bench judge that would rule against me, and then you, the public, would know nothing. That judge's verdict is a slam down against the police. An absolute... Read what he says, yeah? Read what he says, read about their evidence. It was corrupt, it was unlawful. For me, I'm frustrated still. I should be happy. I'm not happy because I shouldn't be put through this time and time again. I walked out of this court last year at a cost of £53,000.
Well, good for him.
Not guilty. I've just walked out again. This is nearly £100,000 been spent on this case. What for?
I think the big problem with all this is the fact that the media misrepresents it. That's the main problem. Like, it's not really about whether, oh, well, is this a, a bad thing or a good thing? Like, yeah, obviously it's bad. But, like, whenever you have, like, a media apparatus that's dedicated to misrepresenting facts and information, then I think you have a very, very big difference and you have an actual real problem. And I think that's very clearly what's been going on here, right? More than anything else. So, yeah, and the notifications, yeah, I don't know. Somebody was recording this, and that's what happened. And what's it like living in the UK? I can't complain. That's good. No, I mean, I can't complain because I might go to jail. Oh, really? What's the emergency? Someone's telling the truth on Twitter. Well, this is what's happened, right? I mean, good for him. I mean, anytime that somebody gets arrested and, for just saying something stupid or saying something that's considered, against a speech law and they, get away with it, I think that's generally a good thing unless it's like violence or doxing, right? I mean, like, that's my mindset. I mean, I hope that more people see this, and I think it's radicalized a lot of people what's happened, right? Where people are getting arrested for expressing distrust with, like, mass migration and stuff like that. And that's the way I see it. This is generally why the public sentiment has shifted. We've gone from one news source, however, to many due to YouTube and Twitch. Well, it's because mainstream media misrepresents information. Mainstream media very rarely actually lies, but what they do instead of lying is they misrepresent information in a way that is just totally inaccurate, right? And I think that's the main problem that a lot of people have with it, is that, for example, like, they'll show Joe Rogan talking about, the ivermectin thing, but they'll put a filter over him that makes him look like like he's green. Or they'll show, like, some guy who's, like, 28 years old, and this guy was, like, a career criminal for the last 8 years, but they'll show his high school yearbook photo where he was still a good boy, right? And that will be, again, to misrepresent the person in the public's eye and to make the public angry at the government or angry at the police for shooting this person, right? And I think that's really where a lot of the hostility and the anger comes from. I think that we all know that, like, yeah, the government's going to have bad rules, etc. But why is it that you have a media apparatus that's constantly running cover for them and actively trying to misrepresent what happens? And I think that's the main issue, is that people don't like being lied to. They don't like being misled. They don't like people telling them one thing and then doing something else. It's the framing of it that's the main issue, right? The Trayvon Martin, yeah, calling George Zimmerman, who is very clearly a Latino, Hispanic man, white, also is just a very, very, very obvious misrepresentation. And I think that like, during, like, the Trayvon Martin and, like, that's whenever it really started, I think that's the point where I think that the public started to really distrust the media on, like, a mass scale.